As you prepare for the arrival of your little one, you've been picking the right doctor, touring the hospital, and finishing up your baby registry. But how much thought have you put into life after the big day of the birth? What are your plans for recovery from childbirth? How much experience do you have taking care of a baby 24/7? I'm Rosemary Mason, a certified postpartum doula, and today we'll be talking about how hiring a postpartum doula can make your transition to mommyhood much easier. This is Preggie Pals.
Is that a plus sign?
Pink or blue? Hospital or home birth?
What type of food should I be eating?
I think I just peed myself. I'm pregnant and I have to exercise.
What pregnancy glow?
Wait, was that a contraction?
Gotta make these pants fit. I've got kinkles. What do you mean there's more than one?
You've got the symptoms, and now you've got the support you need for a happy 9 months. This is Preggie Pals, your pregnancy, your way.
Welcome to Preggie Pals, broadcasting from the Birth Education Center of San Diego. Preggie Pals is your weekly online on-the-go support group for expecting parents and those hoping to become pregnant as well. I'm your host, Danny Laird. Thanks to all of our loyal listeners who have joined the Preggie Pals Club. Our members get special episodes. After each new show, they get bonus content only available to them, plus special giveaways and discounts. See our website, www.preggiepals.com, for more information. Now, another way for you to stay connected is by going to your Windows, your iTunes, your Android marketplace and downloading the Preggie Pals app. This is absolutely free, and it's a great way for you to keep up on your Preggie Pals episodes. Learn everything about pregnancy, birth, and brand new babies. Now, Sam, our producer, is going to give us some more information about our virtual panelist program. Take it away, Sam.
Thanks, Annie. So if you don't live in San Diego, but you'd like to be a panelist on our show, you can still participate through our virtual panelist program. Just like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter using hashtag PreggiePalsVP. And all new, follow us on Instagram at New Mommy Media and search hashtag PreggiePals for behind-the-scenes pictures. We'll post questions throughout the week prior to our taping, and we'd love for you to comment so we can incorporate your thoughts into our episode. You can also submit your questions directly to our experts. Learn more about our VP program through the community section on our website, www.preggiepals.com.
Great. So let's introduce ourselves. My name is Annie. I'm the host. I'm 36 years old. I'm sorry, God, I'm not 36 yet. By the time this episode gets released, I'll be darn near 36 years old. So that makes me apparently elderly now. And I can't even remember my own age. So there you go. My mind's gone. I have 3 kids, all little girls, almost 9, almost 2, and 6 months old. So I got a built-in babysitter. It's awesome. So.
I'm Samantha. I'm 22. I'm a mostly stay-at-home mom besides my job here at Preggie Pals. I have an 18-month-old daughter named Olivia who is an unplanned cesarean, and I'm hoping for a VBAC next time around.
Awesome. Yeah, that happens quick, doesn't it? Of just like going from infant to all of a sudden it's
I
like,
know,
oh,
all of
you're
a sudden
talking,
it's like,
you have a
I
personality.
have a child? Like, no, but last time I thought I had a baby.
Yeah.
But she's a kid now.
Yeah,
which
she is.
Amazing to me.
On Preggie Pals, occasionally we will have featured segments and be reviewing news articles, talking about just different topics. So the news article, the title of it this week is Some Moms Prefer Their Post-Body Babies, Stretch Marks and All. So most mothers can agree that having a baby usually forever changes your body, whether it's fuller hips or a softer stomach or breasts that, aren't quite as perky as they once were. And we live in a culture where, quote unquote, getting your pre-body baby back, it's assumed to be a nearly universal postpartum goal. But some moms are just fine with their post-baby body, finding these new changes come with a new kind of strength and an appreciation for what they're physically capable of doing. It was a USA Today poll that was done in 2013. So although 70% of moms said they feel worse about how their body looks after having kids, there is a 30%, that's a sizable, I think, percentage of moms that like their post-baby body better, and they feel more powerful and confident in their looks. So I was kind of surprised when I thought it was 30%.
Yeah, 30% seems higher than I would have guessed. Although it makes sense that, just because your body doesn't look the same way, you feel much more empowered because you had the gift of bringing life into the world, which no man can do on his own.
Jim Gaffigan does this great little, have you ever heard of Jim Gaffigan?
Yeah, I've heard his spiel about his home birth and about how his family is more attachment parenting, natural living.
Yeah,
type.
well, and in the little skit that I'm talking about, he says basically, when you think he has great respect for women, and saying, when you think about it, it's women are amazing.
Right.
They can grow a baby with their body, and then they birth a baby through their body. and then they can somehow, through some miracle of life, can feed a baby with their body.
Right.
Because when you think about the male contribution to this, it's kind of
very small.
Yeah, because it's kind of embarrassing. He's like, well, I help too, with for 3 seconds for the thing I think about doing 24 hours a day.
Right.
After you have a baby, it's just enough to think about taking care of a baby
Yeah.
and taking care of yourself.
Barely.
Yeah. So this goes really well into our segment for today, into
Perfect.
what we're talking about today, postpartum doulas. Today on Preggie Pals, we're continuing our series on hiring your care provider. So much time, I think, really goes into focusing on hiring the right doctor or hiring the right pediatrician. I think those are the main two that people think about. You get the right doctor, and then after the baby's born, you get the doctor for the baby, But today we're talking about hiring a postpartum doula. So joining us today as our expert is Rosemary Mason. She's a certified postpartum doula. Now, she started her career back in 1994 as a certified childbirth educator, a DONA-trained birth doula. She's, as I mentioned, a certified postpartum doula, and she's also a certified lactation educator. Rosemary, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, no, I think when the word doula comes up, I think people think of that, birth coach. So what is a postpartum doula?
So a postpartum doula takes you the second half. So a birth doula, I always think of as you start your journey. You start off with a birth doula. She takes you at the beginning part of your journey. She plans your trip. She gets you on the plane. She sends you on your way. She goes on the plane with you. She gets to the end, and then the door opens, and she says, "Thank you. Have a great trip," and leaves you there. I, as a postpartum doula, will meet you at the gate and say, okay, let's continue our journey as you bring this baby home. And that's what we do. We come in with physical and emotional support, lots of resources in the community, so this mom doesn't feel like she's by herself bringing a baby home.
Yeah, so that was one of the questions I think before I had my first baby, and I really knew what a postpartum doula was. I think that was a misconception I definitely had of right. Oh, is that kind of like a babysitter?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what other special skills do postpartum doulas bring than, your typical 16-year-old babysitter?
So it's pretty much all about breastfeeding, bottle feeding, pumping, when to pump, when not to pump, how much should we pumping, getting the family involved if you have other siblings, if there's any jealousy issues, how to go ahead and nurse your second baby when you have a second one. When we're bringing in what we call the the family box, and it has all kinds of fun things the second one could be using while you're nursing the other one, and that could have masking tape and all kinds of fun little toys. And so that keeps occupation of that. We also provide nighttime support. So if you're totally exhausted and need some support at that time, we could also come in and help you with the baby in the evening times.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that they say that newborn babies, they sleep? What is it? You would know better than I.
14 to 16 hours a day, but just not continuously.
Yeah. And always when you want to sleep. It seems like, is that a normal thing where babies have their daytimes and their nighttimes?
In some babies it is. I usually find that most babies will follow along what you've been doing pregnant. So if you're a type that likes to sleep a lot during the day and then be up during the night, depending on your work, your baby will already be in that sync. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if you find your baby very active in the middle of the night, it was probably because you were up going to the bathroom or working or whatever, and they will repeat that schedule.
Wow.
And so then once they get out, you just have to they'll readjust. It doesn't take them very long, but they will readjust.
Yeah. How long do you find that normally takes for them to get?
It can be anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Until they kind of get into their days and nights a little more organized. What most parents like to do is thinking, we want to keep it really loud during the day and so they won't sleep as well. And that's really a mistake, because you want to, when they're sleeping, you want to be respectful of their sleep so they get really good sleep. And then when they're awake, then you can keep the TV on and talk to them and keep the noise level up a little bit so they can start getting used to the days and nights. Mm-hmm. Nighttime, it's pretty businesslike. We feed them, burp them, and put them right back down. There's not a lot of stimulus, and then they'll start to get their days and nights organized.
That's awesome. I mean, imagine that would just have good habits. Not that you would be sleep training a baby.
Exactly. No,
yeah.
That's way too early that we're talking about. But for the family to get in some good, like I said, some good habits is really nice toward the end of the day, where it's feeding, it's bath time, it's massage time, it's story time, and then it's down for bed.
Yeah.
And then it's time for you.
It makes me think, gosh, I wish I would have hired a postpartum doula, just because I really think
Waiting
that,
for you.
Yeah, especially with older children,
Yes.
that could really be an advantage of, for a new baby, for a first baby, that I think that would be helpful too.
Very helpful.
Like, how many of us can say, oh yeah, I just have been around babies. This is not like when we lived in tribes and were nomads.
Exactly.
Or, where you would take care of your nieces and nephews and cousins and all that. I think it's very much And we're so separated from family now, too.
Very much separated. Especially here in San Diego, we have a lot of new families that just arrived and really don't have any family at all, or just a few close friends, but they don't feel they can, ask them for any type of support at all.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of area would you think that was around San Diego where we have so many families like that?
I think it's just the military. We have quite a few military families coming in. We have a lot of new businesses coming in. So it's just,
People going where their jobs are, especially
Exactly.
after this recent recession. So.
Exactly. And if you have a choice between San Diego and probably a snowy climate, you would probably choose San
Yeah,
Diego.
I would. I would certainly. Yeah. So I was just reading online a little bit about postpartum depression. And,
Correct.
So what kind of training do postpartum doulas have in postpartum depression? Can we recognize it?
Oh, that's our job. We screen for postpartum mood disorders, and that could be anywhere from depression to anxiety. And mostly our moms are experiencing some sort of anxiety. It could be an OCD type of anxiety. It could be a sleep type of anxiety, but those are our major ones. Then our job is then to refer to the therapist that we work with, and that would be through the Postpartum Health Alliance here in San Diego, which is probably one of the top facilities in the United States. So then they would take over for us. Well, so our jobs come in, kind of screen, talk with these moms. How are you feeling? Are you feeling anxious? Anything different than you normally feel? Then and they come to us because we're very trustworthy in the family. They just feel like, wow, Rosemary, I don't feel myself. I feel very anxious around the baby. I'm having, even bad thoughts. And they think, right away, it's going to be a psychosis type of episode. And that's less than 1% of the, society that would experience that. So then I would then refer to one of the therapists that work with us.
Oh, okay. So you don't actually treat as a postpartum
Exactly.
doula.
We're not therapists. We're there to screen. That's not our job.
Okay. Now, how long do postpartum doulas normally help a new mother? I mean, what's a normal job for you that you would get hired for?
It could be any amount of time, and we like to let families know we're there for the first 12 weeks, and you can jump in at any amount in that time. So most people think, oh, gosh, if we didn't, get us postpartum to the first couple of weeks, then, they're not available for us. And that's not true. We're there for the first 12 to 14 weeks of the baby's life, that first trimester. Mm-hmm. And so, I should say the fourth trimester, and we'll help them out that way. A lot of times you may just want some consulting where you just want the doula to come in for a couple of hours and just go over the bath. And am I doing the breastfeeding correctly? Is, all kinds of different questions. So if they think of us like the baby manual, that would be a very appropriate way to think of us. And they always wonder, babies never come with a manual. And they do. It's called a postpartum doula. And you can just open her up and pick out what you need to do.
Yeah.
Some people with multiples then want longer term. So maybe they want 3 or 4 days a week, or maybe a couple nights in between there. Once again, it's all about learning. How are you going to take these babies to the store? How are you going to do your normal things? How are you going to take a shower? How are you going to, just walk the dog? All the things that you normally do, you now have to incorporate a baby with, or babies. So that's what we do.
What's a normal shift? Like, do you find that you're doing more day work, more night work? How long are you with the family as far as like per day?
Per day, it can,
because it's not a 24/7 thing.
It can be. Some people want 24-hour care if they have triplets, and they want for those first couple of weeks 24 hours. 12. Maybe we'll do a 12-hour shift. Sometimes we usually get 3 doulas involved, and they each do an 8-hour shift. And we do that because you want a fresh, reliable person in, and you can't expect a doula to be there 6 weeks every single day living with you. It's just too much to ask for one person. It's easier just for us to get a team of people in there to help the whole facility. I usually will go in and spend anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 hours a day with a family, depending on what their needs are. And it could be at nighttime. It's pretty much an 8-hour shift. We usually come in at 10, 11 o'clock, stay till 6 or 7, bringing the mom, the baby, or she's coming in to nurse. We're doing the burping and the changing, and just any questions. And it seems like they have a lot more questions at night.
Oh, okay. When we come back, we're going to be discussing actually how you find a postpartum doula to interview. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we're talking about hiring your postpartum doula. So, Rosemary, we were talking about this a little bit in the first part of the interview of a typical day of work for a postpartum doula. So say in an 8-hour, say mom wants 8 hours during the day. So what would that day look like?
Sure. So
when you come in?
Right. We usually arrive, a specific time, and then we usually always start off, what did you eat today? And usually it's always about, I think I had toast. Well, right away, we're making some food for that mom. Or maybe she wants us to come in the kitchen so we can hold the baby, and she wants to fix her own breakfast. It's really what her choice wants to do. Then we can help off doing some baby laundry, some tidying up the facility around with her. It could be she wants to go for a nap. Now she wants to take a shower. And all this time we're teaching her, like, if we weren't here, how are you going to do this without us? And so then we're going to show her how to put the baby in the bouncer chair, bring the baby into the bathroom, which most people thought, oh, I didn't even think about doing that. Or maybe they have one of those really fluffy little rugs that you can also put a little blanket down and put the baby on. If you do this every single day, the baby's going to get used to mommy taking a shower at a certain time, and they just end up enjoying it.
Well, that's nice because I think that's important to have the mom know that she needs to take care of herself.
Very much so.
Because if she doesn't take care of herself, then she can't take care of her baby.
Exactly. It all falls apart at that time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our moms think they're super moms, and my gosh, I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. And after all, I went through college or graduate school, and I didn't even sleep during finals. And that's a whole different thing, not sleeping during finals. That's pretty much over. Then you go to Cabo or something. But after a baby, they don't, they're pretty much there all the time. You can't just put them in a box and say, okay, thank you, I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
It's pretty much constant the whole time.
And I wonder if some of the coping with new mommyhood of just what are the expectations. I know when I was first brand new mom, I look back now at my first daughter, who was, I had no idea, but she was a pretty typical baby, and the babies on TV and the movies,
yes.
Unless it was for a punchline, they weren't crying. Right. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong because she's crying. Mm-hmm. No, she's a baby. And she's expressing herself in some way. Exactly. She can't talk to me and say, well, I'm tired or I'm hungry or I'm any of this. So, but like that would have been really nice to have a postpartum doula go, right. Try and fix the crying. Exactly. But, sometimes they just cry for idea.
Yeah. Sometimes crying is a communication of what, and we're trying to figure out what it is. And a lot of times our work is as, along with the doulas and the parents, we're detectives. We're trying to figure out what's going on with this baby. It's not always food. Sometimes it's mostly overstimulation. Or, something's going on. And babies are kind of born with sensitivities to certain things, either light or touch or just too much stimulus. And that's what we're trying to help with those parents as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, how can women find a postpartum doula to interview? I know here in San Diego, we have Beautiful Beginnings, which is a great resource. Of a ton of postpartum doulas are part of that group. But
right.
In just any place in the United States, because
sure.
That's where our podcast is listened to.
Exactly.
Throughout the United States and even internationally. How could women go and
sure.
just even find one?
There's a couple of places you can go to. The DONA website, which is dona.org, and on that there'll be a little menu on the side. You just put in your state, and then your doulas in that area will pop up. The certified doulas will pop up at that end. You can also go with Kappa. There's a couple of lots of great groups out here across the United States that you'll be able to find one. You can just Google doulas in your area, and I'm sure a whole bunch of them will come up at this time.
Okay. Now, you mentioned with DONA that it brings up the certified doulas. Now, what goes into a certification, and what's the difference between hiring someone who's certified and someone maybe who's still working on their certification?
Right. Certification is just going that extra step. You followed all the rules. You have a standard of practice that you abide by. Not that people who are not certified are not qualified, but if you're looking for someone who's gone the extra mile, who does continuous education, all the time, that's where I would really go with.
Yeah. Now, you talked about continuing education. Now, what kind of continuing education do postpartum doulas?
Yeah, it's pretty much breastfeeding, any type of baby care, postpartum mood disorders. It's all, there's something going on pretty much all the time, and we are participating in that. Mm-hmm. And that once again gives you a more stronger skill set, so that you can go in and help with that family.
Okay. Now, what is the going rate? I know, obviously, here in Southern California might be different than Minnesota.
Yeah, or correct. It's pretty close across the United States. It's between $25 and $30 an hour. Mm-hmm. And once again, you don't have to have 8 hours. It could just be a couple hours. It could be, the 6. It could be any amount the family needs. We don't really set a time that we have to be there. Some doulas do, but I personally don't. If you just want me for an hour, I'm happy to zip out for an hour and give you some consulting at that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Well, thanks, Rosemary, for joining us today.
Thank you.
For more information about Rosemary and her business, North County Doulas, as well as information about any of our panelists, visit the episode page on our website. This conversation continues for members of our Preggie Pals Club. After the show, Rosemary will share with us what she considers the top 3 questions that you should ask in an interview of a postpartum doula. To join our club, visit our website, www.preggiepals.com. Hi, Preggie Pals. We have a question for one of our experts. Janice in Okinawa writes, My sister tells me that eating sushi is dangerous for the baby, but I see women doing it where I live all the time. What is the danger in eating sushi while pregnant?
Hello, I'm Lindsay Sovic, a registered dietitian nutritionist in San Diego, California, USA. Janice, thanks for asking this question. In the United States, it is recommended that pregnant women do not consume raw fish because of the increased risk for exposure to parasites and bacteria. While a woman is pregnant, her immune system is not as strong, and this makes her more susceptible to foodborne illness. With this said, some women still choose to take the risk and indulge in things like raw sushi from reputable restaurants. Just always talk this over with your physician or midwife. It is not, however, recommended that you cut out fish altogether when pregnant. Pregnant women can consider choosing cooked versions of sushi for a safer option, provided the chef cleans the prep surface before making the sushi. Consuming low-mercury fish provides your body with omega-3s, which are crucial to the baby's brain development. To keep mercury levels low, it's recommended that one consume 12 ounces or less of low-mercury-containing fish per week. Some examples are salmon, anchovies, herring, sardines, trout, pan-like tuna, and Atlantic and Pacific mackerel. I hope this is helpful. Thanks.
That wraps up our show for today. We appreciate you listening to Preggie Pals. Don't forget to check out our sister shows, Parent Savers, for parents with newborns, infants, and toddlers, Twin Talks for parents of multiples, and our show, The Boob Group, for moms who breastfeed their babies. Next week, we'll be discussing how to keep your pregnancy low risk. This is Preggie Pals, your pregnancy, your way.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
New Mommy Media is expanding our lineup of shows for new and expecting parents. If you have an idea for a new series, or if you're a business or organization interested in joining our network of shows through a co-branded podcast, visit newmommymedia.com.